Hello, what's up guys? Hopefully you're doing well and are having a good day. Well, I hope you do have a good day anyway. So I wanted to do a little video today talking about something that I thought would be quite interesting to talk about. So, this kind of relates to what I was talking about in the third video that I did the third video I did yesterday. I was talking about the Inhams, and I was talking about how their views have dropped quite substantially. And there are multiple reasons for that. I mean, yeah, their content is, the content they're putting out on their channel these days is just basically crap, which is why their views have dropped, because you can see that they're not kind of putting any effort into the content that they're actually putting out there online. I mean, when you look at YouTube, at channels like Dad v Girls and Family Fears, it feels like they put a lot more effort into the content that they put out online, which is why they're ultimately achieving more views. I mean, they have a similar amount of subscribers in comparison to the Inhams, but they're getting way more views in the Inhams because they're actually putting in way more effort. They're putting way more effort into the content they're putting out there. And sadly the same can't be said for the Inhams. It feels like a lot of their vlogs are just zero effort dot crap these days, to be fairly honest. And I had to be brutally honest on that one. But I think there's also another reason why their channel is struggling. And it's because people's attitudes to family, attitudes towards family vlogging channels these days have changed quite a lot. Basically family vlogging channels are not as relevant as they used to be. People don't care about family vlogging channels as much as they used to. People are not into those channels anymore. You look at, sort of 5-6 years ago, and you look at the amounts of views that the Inhams were pulling in on a pretty regular basis. The reason that they were pulling in so many views, such high views back then, was because back then family vlogging channels were still very popular. They were still very they're still relevant, but these days, the popularity of family vlogging channels has decreased quite substantially, and people's attitudes towards family vlogging channels have changed, in quite a big way over the last few years. So it's not hard to see why certain family vlogging channels are struggling to the extent that they are struggling. Is because, a lot of these family vlogging channels are dying out. There's very few family vlogging channels that are still going, strong. And are still, somewhat popular. But, the majority of family vlogging channels are not getting the same popularity that they used to. They don't have the same popularity as they used to. I mean, it's not hard. I think it's not hard to see why family vlogging channels are not as popular as they used to be, and have become completely irrelevant at this point. The problem with a lot of these family vloggers is they don't feel relatable in any particular way. And you can see that a lot of the time the Inhams are trying to stay relatable, they're trying to stay relevant, but they're just not doing that anymore. It's very easy to see that. I was sitting there the other day and I was thinking about the Inhams, and I was thinking to myself, I feel so sorry for Pruny. It's half the time Pruny doesn't even appear in the vlogs now unless people are mentioning it. I mean, this is what is so funny about it, is the fact that when people don't actually mention Pretty, or are not mentioning Pretty, she doesn't appear in any of the vlogs. But as soon as people start mentioning her again, and are starting to mention her again, she starts appearing in the vlogs again, as if by magic. I mean, yeah, right, okay. There's not, not very funny, that, isn't it? How, I mean, that's very funny, how when people are not mentioning Prinny or talking about Prinny, she doesn't appear in the vlogs. But when people do start mentioning Prinny, do start talking about Prinny, as if by magic, she starts appearing in the vlogs again. That's hardly a big coincidence. That is hardly a big coincidence how when people don't mention Prinny, she doesn't appear in the vlogs, but when people do start mentioning her again and start talking about her again, as if by magic she starts appearing in the vlogs again. Yeah, there's no coincidence. That's not a coincidence. You know, in fact, it's too big of a coincidence there, to be fairly honest. I think at the end of the day, I think it's not completely unfair to say that the popularity of family vlogging channels is or has massively decreased. As it has. Like, people just don't have the family vlogging channels anymore. I mean, yeah, there are those people out there who still enjoy watching these family vlogging channels and watching what they do, but there's not many people out there who like these family vlogging channels anymore. I think that we are getting to, it is kind of getting to the end of the line for these family vlogging channels. It's like, it won't be long before they're gone. But the sad truth about a lot of these family vlogging channels is that if it wasn't for the kids, then these channels would have failed a very long time ago. The only reason that any of these family vlogging channels have succeeded in the way that they have and have actually reached the heights that they have in terms of popularity is because of the kids. It's not because of the work that the parents have done. It's more to do with the fact that it's more to do with the kids. Because we all know, and I'll keep saying this time and time again, people only watch the vlogs only watch the videos to actually watch the kids. Not because they want to see what the parents are doing. It's because they want to see what the kids are doing. It's very clear to see that a lot of these family vlogging channels wouldn't be where they are now if it wasn't for their kids. A lot of these family vlogger parents would not have been as successful as they have been without their kids. The kids are the biggest reason for their success. And it's quite a sad thing to think about, really, the fact that the kids are such a big, had such a big part to play in the parents' success. It's like these these kids. It's sad to think about these kids and to think about how much of their lives has already been broadcasted online for public consumption. There's not a single child out there who really deserves to be living a life like that, where every single part of their lives is basically shared online for public consumption. It's just not right. And it really actually pisses me off to think that some people are willing to support that and think that, the kids should have to put up with that. There's no child should have to do that. Especially the innocent kids, considering they're filmed, they're basically filmed 7 days a week, 300, well, at the moment they're being filmed for, 7 days a week. And it's the same with the Honey Jolie kids. They don't get a break. They're basically filmed for, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And it's ridiculous. I mean, obviously, I'm still quite angry about the fact that Jonathan was filming Alessia in the hospital. I don't agree with that at all. And you could tell, when he posting that video, it basically he basically showed what his priorities were. His priority at that point should have been comforting his 7-year-old daughter. But instead, his priority was invading her privacy and basically filming content. That's what his priority was. It's actually sad to think about the fact that Amelia was actually comforting Alessia way more than what Jonathan was. All he was interested in was filming Alessia for vlog content when he should have been doing what he should have been doing as a father was comforting his child. He would obviously undoubtedly have been in a lot of pain, especially with the arm straightening and everything. It would have been really, really quite painful for her. And he just didn't need to film that. He didn't need to film any of that. But the fact that, he felt the need to film that was completely unacceptable, completely disgusting. Because no parent would feel the need to film that. It has to be said. Jonathan, for me, I look at him and he certainly gets too touchy-feely with his kids sometimes. I have to say, we've seen that in a lot of videos where he does seem to get a little bit kind of too sort of touchy-feely with his kids. It's like, it's just weird, very weird. Obviously, I am kind of happy that the popularity of these family vlogging channels is falling, is falling and it's getting worse and worse. And it's just, it's unbelievable. But that, as I said, it's not just about, the content that they're putting out on YouTube being crap. The popularity of family vlogging channels has changed massively, over the last few years. And that's a big part of the reason why why channels like the Innips channel has lost so many views, is because of the fact that people's attitudes towards family vlogging channels have changed. Some people don't. There are a lot of people out there who, don't have the same attitude to family vlogging channels that they had, 5 or 6 years ago. There's people out there that obviously have a very different opinion on family vlogging channels compared to the opinion that they had years ago. And it's understandable that people's opinions have changed, people's feelings towards family vlogging channels have changed over a period of time. Because they're always going to do that. People might have liked family vlogs. Some people might have liked family vlogging channels back then, but they don't anymore. Because they've actually started to realise what these family vloggers or these parents are actually doing. And they've actually realised how wrong it is. Which again is a big part of the reason why people stop watching the internet. Because a lot of people have started to realise that what they are doing to their kids is wrong. A lot of people have started to realise that what they're doing to their kids is completely unacceptable. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I know I'll probably get a lot of iFam coming after me for saying this, but it just has to be said. I don't care if the iFam think that what Chris and Sarah are doing is okay and is acceptable. Because nobody really values their opinions apart from Chris and Sarah. Of course, obviously Chris and Sarah will always value the iFam's opinions, but nobody else does. Nobody else values their opinions or agrees with their opinions. Nobody else has to agree with their opinions. Their opinion is that Chris and Sarah are great parents, but I think a lot of people with common sense know that they're not great parents. And they shouldn't be described that way. It's as simple as that. as I said in yesterday's vlog, in the one I put in yesterday's video, the one about it, the third one I put out, I did say things are not going to get any better for the Inhams, and they're not, things are not going to get any better for the Inhams, they're just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. Things are never going to change, things are not going to change. No matter how much they want things to change, things are not going to change. And the sooner they start with it, they wake up and actually start realising that, the better, I say, the better I reckon, because they need to start waking up and realising that things are not going to change, and things are not going to get any better for them. And it's as simple as that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for another one very soon. Bye bye.